There are many religions in the world, but not all reveal God, and not all lead man to heaven. Among them, Islam stands apart. Its very name, Islam, comes from the Arabic aslama, meaning submission, obedience, surrender. It is the religion of conquest, born not from love but from power. From the deserts of Arabia to the gates of Europe, it advanced not by miracles or persuasion, but by the sword, by the cry that echoed through centuries, "Believe or die." Saint John Bosco, the father and teacher of youth, looked upon this religion with the clear eyes of faith and reason. For he knew that the true church conquers through charity, while false religions dominate through fear. In his famous book, The Educated Catholic in His Religion, Dialogues of a Father with His Children, first published in 1853, he sought to protect souls from confusion and error. Among its many chapters stands one of remarkable clarity. Dialogue 13. On Mohammedanism. And there, Don Bosco writes with paternal gravity, Mohammed could perform no miracle to confirm his teaching, because he was not sent by God. Only God is the author of miracles. That single line divides all history. For Christ revealed himself through divine power, mercy, and miracles, witnessed by thousands. Mohammed offered none. Christ preached forgiveness. Mohammed preached submission. Christ founded his church with the blood of his own sacrifice. Mohammed built his empire with the blood of others. This is where the story begins. The story of two kingdoms, two visions of the soul. One born of love, the other born of force. Don Bosco's book opens not with argument, but with tenderness. A father sits with his children and teaches them what truly matters. There is no knowledge, he says, more important for a Catholic than that which instructs him in his own religion. For faith is not a theory. It is the foundation of the soul. The father reminds his sons that the true church, the Roman Catholic Church, has endured every persecution, every empire, every heresy, and yet remains visible, victorious, and serene. She never fought with swords, but with patience and charity. Her endurance, he says, can only be explained by one thing: divine power. Then, after building this foundation, he begins to speak of false religions, those that broke away from truth or never possessed it at all: Judaism, idolatry, Mohammedanism, and the various Christian sects that abandoned Rome. But among them, one had deceived millions, and still does: Islam. Don Bosco recounts how Mohammed was born in 570, in Mecca, son of a pagan father and a Jewish mother. Ambitious for wealth and fame, he traveled as a merchant and eventually married a wealthy widow. But deep in his heart, he longed for something greater. Not holiness, but dominion. Afflicted with epileptic seizures, he deceived his followers, claiming that his convulsions were visions from the angel Gabriel. It was a calculated lie, and the beginning of a religion built on illusion. Mohammed's so-called miracle was that the moon once fell into his sleeve, and he placed it back into the sky. His followers took this absurd tale seriously, and the crescent moon became their symbol. It was not faith, it was deception. But his countrymen soon recognized him as a fraud, an agitator, a disturber of peace. Condemned to death, Mohammed fled to Medina, gathering a band of outlaws who became his first disciples and his first soldiers. With them, he began a campaign of conquest, turning faith into warfare and prayer into submission. Don Bosco's father character speaks plainly. Mohammed spread his religion not through miracles or persuasion, but through the force of arms. Favoring all forms of libertinism, he became the leader of a formidable band of robbers. It was not the gospel of peace. It was a kingdom of fear. Where Christ said, "Love your enemies," Mohammed said, "Strike down the unbelievers." Where the apostles carried the cross, his followers carried the sword. Islam's sacred book, the Quran, is no revelation but a confusion, a blend of Judaism, Christianity, and pagan superstition, arranged not by inspiration, but by convenience. Don Bosco notes that Mohammed himself could not read or write. The Quran was compiled by a Jewish scribe and an apostate monk, full of contradictions and moral errors. In it, the Virgin Mary is confused with Miriam, the sister of Moses. Revenge is permitted. Lying is excused if one fears death. Paradise is described not as the vision of God, but as an eternity of fleshly pleasure. Don Bosco writes that its doctrines are so obscene that the Christian soul trembles even to name them. And then comes the great contrast between Mohammed and Christ. Mohammed built his religion with violence and war. Christ built his church with peace and sacrifice. Mohammed exalted passion. Christ demanded self-denial. Mohammed wrought no miracles. Christ healed the blind, raised the dead, and calmed the sea. Mohammed's doctrines are corrupting and absurd. Christ's are sublime, pure, and divine. In Mohammed, no prophecy was fulfilled. In Christ, all prophecies found their end. Islam promises a heaven of lust. Christianity promises the vision of God. Islam enslaves man to fear. Christianity frees him through love. Thus, Don Bosco teaches, the two founders stand opposed as darkness to light. One degrades the soul, the other redeems it. A religion's divinity is proved not by its power, but by its holiness. The Church of Christ has endured for 2,000 years, always visible, always attacked, and yet always alive. Empires have fallen, sects have vanished, ideologies have rotted in the grave, but the Church remains. Why? Because her foundation is not man, it is God. Don Bosco writes, "In every age, even amidst the bloodiest persecutions, the Church has stood as an immovable column, always glorious, always visible, always victorious, using no weapon but charity and patience." This endurance, he says, can only come from divine omnipotence. Islam, born in violence, spread by violence, and maintained by fear, could conquer nations, but never hearts. It could destroy cities, but not sin. It could fill mosques, but never create saints. For holiness cannot be forced, it must be freely chosen. And that is the mark of the true Church. She does not impose, she proposes. She does not threaten, she invites. She does not conquer by fear, she conquers by love. The dialogue ends not with anger, but with sorrow. A father's sorrow for those who live in error. Don Bosco wanted his young readers to understand that not all religions are equal. Truth is not divided. There is one Christ, one Church, one way of salvation. He does not mock Muslims, he pities them. He shows that their faith was born of ignorance and power, not revelation. He writes, "Mohammed could not perform a single miracle. He was not sent by God," and then he points to Christ, the one who healed, forgave, and died to save. The contrast is eternal. The cross versus the crescent. Mercy versus domination. Love versus fear. For nearly 2 millennia, the Catholic Church has outlived every empire, every heresy, every philosophy that sought to replace it. And this endurance, calm, luminous, miraculous, is itself the greatest proof of her divine origin. Don Bosco's vision remains prophetic. He saw that the greatest danger to the soul is false religion disguised as truth, error clothed in devotion, submission without grace. For man was not made to serve power, but to love God. He was not created to bow under the sword, but to kneel before the cross. Christ's kingdom is not of this world. His weapon is not steel, but mercy. His victory is not domination, but redemption. And through the centuries, his church continues to shine as the only ark of salvation, unbroken, unshaken, divine. At the close of Don Bosco's 13th dialogue, the father turns to his children and speaks softly. Christ raised man above the beasts. False religion drags him back among them. Choose, my children, which kingdom you will serve. This is not merely a warning, it is a call. For faith is not inherited, it is chosen, and every soul must decide, the sword or the cross, fear or love, submission or truth. Saint John Bosco, the gentle teacher of youth, gave the world not just schools, but light. He wrote for the salvation of souls, to defend truth against the errors of the age. And even now, his words stand as a shield against confusion. The Church conquers not with force, but with patience. She endures, and her endurance is the miracle the world cannot deny. If this video has opened your eyes to the wisdom of Saint John Bosco, if it helped you understand the difference between faith and fear, between the cross and the sword, then help us spread his teaching. Share this video so that others may also discover the truth he defended. And if you wish to stand with us in bringing the light of Catholic faith to the world, subscribe to the channel and help us carry forward the voice of the saints. Because truth, once known, must be shared. And as Don Bosco taught, only truth makes the heart free.